Lisa, Nicole, and Johan. In 2021, Lisa, Nicole, and Johan created Soundbreak, which is an independent project that aims to engage with experimental form and atmospheres, inhabits the incommensurable, weaves emotion, thought, rationality, irrationality, and creates rather than reproduces, shapes ecologies rather than libraries. So without further ado, we're going to be listening to their project.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the lecture one of before on our journey from Vienna Airport to LAMAS. This train stops at Czechov, Grünlaune Nachricht, Schiedenice, Stammern, Saxovo, Havličku, Brot, Polin, and Mahalavni Nachricht. We wish you a pleasant journey. partial diasporic Stimmen angenehme Besserlässe. Dear ladies and gentlemen, in a few minutes we will arrive at our next stop, Jeddah. The Austrian train to synchronize our passengers and ensure pleasant travel. Solo para mi señor. Dices que quiero ser mi flecha y que nos hagamos un museo, así como la nave de nuestra madre mar, que lancemos puentes soñando un cielo camino, desde este sur de nuestra propia historia, así como nuestra madre alma joven. Tendremos nunca sin nada. Dices que te gustaría que fuera toda para tu segunda, así
for that. Keep these questions and your answers in mind. We'll continue showcasing the projects, and then after we're done, we're gonna open the conversation. So now we have Bernardo. He is going to be asking for some audience participation.
Now I'm going to just have like 2-3 volunteers, so you can it out. It's very simple. You just need to put your hands as close as possible to the sensor, which is this one. And each hand controls different species of birds that use Tommy Thompson as a stopover and migration point. And you can control the intensity of the overall soundscape, just as you would hear the park. And it's like you're walking across the whole park, and you can hear all the species that go there. And there are over 300 species that use this park every summer. And yes, thousands of birds. It's a great place to visit if you're ever curious. So yeah, there are maybe 1, 2, 3 persons. I'll start with yes, it's okay with both hands. So range. volunteer? Thank you. So that's good. We have time for one more. Again, please try to keep your hands separate so
And finally, we have Luis.
Hi everyone, thank you. My name is Luis, and what you'll experience today is an interactive performance where you're going to play some Latin music with code, program edge that I designed for Latin music, and I will be sending some greetings, and you are welcome to come here if you want your greeting to be in the screen and also on the speaker. So don't be shy, and you can come at any time and write down your greeting.
De Vinis trae para ustedes la cumbia de los pajaritos, cumbia amazónica.
Grupo de Vinis brings to you the cumbia of the birds, cumbia amazonica.
Grupo de Vinis trae para ustedes la cumbia de los pajaritos, cumbia amazónica.
Grupo de Vinis brings to you the cumbia of the birds, cumbia amazonica.
trae para ustedes la cumbia de los pajaritos, cumbia amazónica, cortesía de la Latin American Media Arts Symposium más aluCine Festival.
Grupo de Belize brings you the Cumbia de los Pajaritos, Cumbia Amazonica, courtesy of the Latin American Media Arts Symposium, plus aluCine Festival. Grupo de Belize brings you the Cumbia de los Pajaritos, Cumbia Amazonica, courtesy of the Latin American Media Arts Symposium, plus aluCine Festival.
Durante el performance, pasen para mandar sus saludos.
During the performance, stop by to send your regards.
Durante el performance, pasen para mandar sus saludos. Un ejemplo de saludos es: saludos a mi familia desde Toronto.
During the performance, stop by to send your regards. An example of greetings is greetings to my family from Toronto.
Durante el performance, pasen para mandar sus saludos. Otro ejemplo es: greetings to Jessica from Maria. Empiezan los saludos. Saludos a Bernardo de Che.
Greetings begin. Greetings to Bernardo de Che.
Empiezan los saludos. Saludos al Latin American Media Arts Symposium de Sander. Felicidades a LAMAS por reunir a catedráticos e investigadores de parte de María Magda Burbán.
Congratulations to LAMAS for bringing together professors and researchers from Maria Magda Burbano.
Hello to LAMAS, excellent job from Norway.
Hello to LAMAS, excellent job from Norway.
Felicidades Nicole y Pablo. Greetings to the room. May we all know peace must be love.
lady, dance to me. Come on, party. Come on, guys. I think I don't know. Guys, boys, I don't know. Come on, go ahead, talk to me. Come on, give me a hand. Dance with me, please. Okay, dance with me, please. Come on, it doesn't matter. Come on. We are so pushy in Mexico. Yeah. I know.
Thank you everyone for engaging. All right. Well, thank you all for sharing with us, and thank you for engaging with all the pieces. I hope it was a nice embodied experience, for some more than others. Yeah, but now I wanted to start the conversation by asking all of you, like, there is evidently something that joins these projects together, which is sound. But another thing that interested me while going through projects is that there is something else that brings them together, which is technology, and the way that technology, in a way, functions as, and it's interesting that we've been talking so much about the archive and all the other panels, because in a way technology serves as this element that allows for the projects to exist and to engage with the soundscapes, music, or nature soundscapes that are part of it. So I wanted to ask all of you, and also to give you a chance to speak more about the project now that you were able to present it. How does sound and technology, the technology that you use, help expand or subvert the narratives of migration, the narratives of diaspora, and of displacement that we are talking to in this panel? And if it does help.
I think being able to record anything at any point in this time and place is something amazing. I always like to carry a field recorder, and any interesting sound that I find, I try to record it. And that allows us to archive and document all types of sounds. And in my case, well, I have to talk this a bit later, but I've always been fascinated with nature, and coming here like 5 years ago, you know, when you arrive to a new city, there's a lot of uncertainty, and you need to find places to go to find some peace. And for me, nature is that place that brings me peace. And also, it was free. And when you come to a new city, obviously, you need to find free activities. Yeah, being able to archive that with technology, yeah, with field recorders, I think it's an amazing thing to do. And also, I mean, phones have better microphones nowadays, so yeah, you can document and archive everything at any time. Yeah, love it.
Thank you for that question, Paulo, and thank you, Riga, for the invitation here. It's very interesting because we're going to have a panel in like a month for the AAAs, and it's about like the body much like perfect as well, so I'm just going to speak Spanish. So the point when we started to record for sound rate, it was of course the ethical thing, like how we're gonna record, where we're gonna record, and how we're gonna put it. That I wanna appreciate the presence of Analia here, because we create a website, and this website also works like an archive. So we have like a bunch of different sounds, sometimes no more than 50 seconds. And we use normally the phone, or sometimes we use like different kinds of recordings, records machines. But it's precisely like how the technology is just like connecting us between distances, right? Like how I am able to move to museums or to move to different places and just record that and just bring it here to try to like think about mobility, think about like distances, think about like how I am displaying my Latinity. That precisely in the last panel we were talking about it, like how we are refusing or connecting with some part of Latinity. For example, myself, I'm just getting out the topic right now, but myself is like the refusal of Latinity. Like I don't identify as Latina, but as an Andina, and it's like precisely through those sounds, like the cumbia sonica or like, yeah, and different kinds of sounds that is just connecting my new identity. And with sounds, I also mentioned like devices, like phones. Yeah, for example, what you have here. Well, anyways, yeah.
Thank you. A short answer to your first question. I think with sound, what we're trying to do is to go beyond text and not ask how to describe a sound, but rather just to see what sound does when you put it against another sound. And I think there's a nice connection to the discussion on archives in the last session where and about the individual and collective or institutional hosting or keeping or creating of records and archives. And what does it mean when, in our case, three people from very different backgrounds find ways to kind of play around? And I think play is a key word with your project as well, is just to try to play around and see what happens when we put two sounds together that maybe shouldn't be, or we don't expect them to be together, and see where we can go on from that point.
Thank you. So actually, your question reminded me one brief anecdote. So 2 years ago, I was during COVID. Claudia, one curator from the Sur Gallery, contacted me to see if I could perform with this language because, according to her, she was saying people at least in Toronto, often connect or have the idea of arts in Latin America as only based on textiles, which she was saying it's okay, but she wanted to do something that kind of like showcased the use of technology along with what we define as, or say it could be Latin American cultures, etc. So that's why she contacted me, and this is a little bit interesting because when I was doing this project, it was for my PhD. I also made some talking circles, like discussion circles with people living in different places who self-identify as from Latin America. And so they were, I was interested in talking to them because I felt a really deep conflict about using computers along with cumbia, for instance, so Latin music, because, and in the end, the conclusion that we all came to is that sometimes Latin American cultures have a kind of like sense of purity, like a misconception of what should be pure or not. And sometimes we, including myself, feel a little bit conflicted in terms of using the computer because we think it's something from the United States or from Europe, something foreign. So in this case, altogether we come up to just thinking in terms of the computer as something that is another, agent or yeah.
So what we've tried to do is, at least with our collaborative work, is to offer people a mode to communicate with the sounds that are there and to respond to the sounds that are there and to try to create a conversation. So it's been, I guess, there's been some soliciting of material through various circuits, through sound study circuits and so on, through ethnomusicology, through anthropology as well. So we're trying to make it a collaborative project, but at the same time, we're aware that we're trying not to extract stuff from people for our own gain. So there are these very sort of ethical components that are part of SoundBreak as well. So yes, while it would be wonderful to have this conversation with sound, you know, who's benefiting at the end of the day from these conversations?
Yeah, so as I was telling you, I was really also when I'm doing this project, I was wondering if doing this could be a cultural appropriation, because nonetheless I really like cumbia. I'm not really a part of or I haven't been any part of a scene in Mexico or anywhere else. I guess I'm starting my scene here, anyways. But so I was working. So I wanted to talk to other people again in these circles of conversation that I put together. And so in the end, yeah, so they had lots of questions in terms of like, what does it mean, for instance, to have these kind of like quote unquote sophisticated sounds along with these rhythms, which are, as you were saying, more traditional or are, you know, from the Andes or from Africa as well. So that those questions were raised there. And I think something is good in terms of cumbia is that cumbia is an interesting genre of music that itself has had, similarly to jazz, lots of history in terms of, you know, appropriations, resignifications, whitening. So the language, you know, is not, we could say, free of that. And actually, it's there for people to, or my idea is for people to like contest the language and then ask these questions. And one time, just to finish my comment, is I was giving a workshop on this language, and one person from Colombia was asking. She told me, "Well, that's not the cumbia that I hear in Colombia," and I was aware of that, and so it was really a good moment for me because that's what I wanted in terms of the language. It's like cumbia is a very generic term, so it means lots of things to different people and has different instruments in different places. And so she was conflicted, and I was like, yeah, so if you want, we can incorporate your what you hear, we can work together, etc. And the sounds that are in the language, those are sounds that orchestras in the 1950s, etc., started incorporating in places such as Mexico. So the congas wasn't really part of the cumbia in early before the 1950s, etc. So what you see is already something that is mediated by many, you know, people and institutions, processes, recordings, recording streets, etc. And again, yeah, it's for it to be contested and to have some dissent.
Regarding collaboration for this particular piece, I want the audience to be like a key participant of the piece. Without any person interacting with this, there is no sound. And I think that kind of relates to, it turns out that Tommy Thompson originally was like a landfill where a lot of industrial waste from the 70s was just thrown. And accidentally that, basically nature took over that space, that industrial landfill, and now it's considered one of the most important parks for birds in the city. I think that's like an accidental collaboration between humans that were just dumping stuff and accidentally, well, birds took over, and now it's important for them.
Thank you. Just adding a little bit of our project is called SoundBreak, right? So we call it SoundBreak for the reason of the braid. This is like the groping is the upper part of the braid, and the grafting is the lower part of the braid. So what we wanted to do is just generate connections between sounds and kind of like decompressing what sounds mean. in the sense like, I don't know, if I want to talk about, I'm just gonna insist in mobility. So if I want to insist like in the sounds of mobility, and for me is the suitcase, then for Nicole it's just gonna be like, I don't know, the train. So it's just like keep braiding the braid that we start to weave between the project. So that's basically what we are trying to do, and well, the website was Pablo displaying later.
Yeah, thank you. So speaking of weaving and conversation and collaboration, I want to turn the mic to the audience, because I know that a lot of you took some notes and engaged with the pieces, so I'm wondering if the audience has any questions, comments, want to respond to any of the prompts that were on the screen.
For the first piece, one of the answers that I answered was, what sound reminds you of mobility? You identified with mobility, what was the question? Yeah, for me it's wind. Wind, for so many reasons, for the actual mobility and if how ephemeral it is, and also invisible but tactile, just like sound. And esos sonidos de las calles que no sé cuándo volvería a escuchar, it made me reflect on loss, migration or exile, nostalgia. That was for the first piece. And for Bernardo's, El jardín de mi abuelita Rosario, mi querida Venezuela, sus mares, sus pájaros y sus hermosas playas. Thank you.
No, I just wanted to ask a question on the reproduction of sound. In your opinion, like one of the experiences that I have, let's say in the forest or in any place basically, when I'm listening to sound, is that it comes from many directions and from many distances. And a lot of the experiences that I have sometimes in the reproduction of these sounds is the technical and special reproduction of it that is never achieves the equal sensation of being in this space. Is that something that you struggle with? Is it important in positions? I mean, because I am more so, I work more with images and it's struggle a lot with the way that, for instance, installations get presented. It's almost like you work in the way that they present it in galleries, they diminish and they basically destroy the installation, right? There's no any space for the installation. Installation doesn't.
So I can say that you can faithfully reproduce real space with headphones. At least you can close your eyes and imagine you're in space. And with two speakers, I think it would be the next. Well, it would be a bit of a compromise, but it will give you sort of an idea. And four speakers surrounding you would be, I think, it will give you a real representation of the recording.
Can I add something? Just adding something that you mentioned, and I think that was the point of our thesis, is like challenging a little bit what we think of the binary between time and space, right? So it's just not listening to sound and just staying with the sound there. It's just like if you listen to the pieces, like a drunk guy, and then he's like cursing at someone, and I recorded that, and then it's just like how you experience that sound is not the same experience that I have, right? So it's just like adding on to time and space, the experience that you have. Like it's just when we are displaying every time, it's just the sound is embodied, the experience of each own, right? Like it's not gonna be the same, basically.
There's an interesting relationship between recording and playing and listening. I think, and that's the materiality of it, is when there's now, well, not now, but there's been since the 60s and 70s plenty of these. When you go for a sound walk, the question is, do you go with headphones or do you just go and walk and listen? And I think maybe that's a critique to some kind of atmospheric soundscape sound work, is that is a question, is it kind of made clear what it's for? Is it intending to recreate something, or is it an assemblage of something else? And what is the intent behind the work? And I think probably will always be a discussion, what is recording for, what is listening for. But I think that's also what we're kind of, I think I like your project in that sense as well, that it's asking questions about, if you're putting your hands on that device, are you listening or are you physically touching the sound? And if you come stand next to you, write some messages, write some greetings, are you really relating to the music, or are you relating to the community? Are you waiting for someone to dance with you? It really opens up to what sound is for.
I'd like to just say, I was trying to answer the question number 2, how does it relate to moving to a new city? And I find that, I find that it evokes some of my childhood memory with the music and the sound of birds, the swishing of water, the rumbling of the trains and different voices. But when you come to big cities like these and you're new, it's frightening. It's not the same sounds, but as the saying goes, memories don't live like people do. They always stay with you, whether they be good or bad. It's always something that you have. And this is very insightful. I really like it. Thank you.
Hi, first of all, thank you. So I'm from Chile, I'm a dancer, and I find that my movement research changes a lot when I'm here and then when I'm back home. So I'm just wondering if for you, is there any the longer you reside somewhere, does it change the way you do your research? Does it change the message you want to give, the people you work with? Because I feel like maybe at the beginning we're a bit biased and we kind of we're very Latin based and we want to do art for Latin people who are residing in the same place, community as us. I wonder if if time gives you a more broad vision, or if there's also other things that sound that you can connect to your research. Like when I do research, I'm very much inspired by temperature, the light, the sounds as well, and all of that kind of makes me move a different way. So because places have different structures, like the woods or the middle of the city or a rehearsal room, I wonder if those factors would shift your research as well somehow. I don't know if that makes sense, but I try.
Okay, so I think I have lots of ideas. Maybe I'll just talk about an anecdote. So there's many things happening here in the performance. Besides Latin music, the other one is live. It's called live coding. Live coding is a new practice that, well, not new, from the 2000s, where you type code in front of an audience as a form of performance. I didn't type much, but I was just commenting out some code. And so back in Mexico, I wanted to do research. I wanted to do a master's, but this practice was and still is a little bit not very welcomed in the academic places. So they feel it's just doesn't make sense to show the code, right? And so usually people there or the researchers who basically are in the committees who accept you for the masters, they don't like that stuff. They like really, you know, aesthetically pleasant interfaces, or maybe not showing the interface at all, only the speakers, etc. So it's a tradition of doing sound art in Mexico. So when I started applying to other places as well, and so when I got here in Canada, I was so I started my master's and PhD at McMaster, and there one of the professors was really engaged with live coding, and so in that sense I was able to answering your question real quick, I was able to actually come here and do this activity, which again is doing some code in front of audiences. Whereas back in Mexico, I was consulting with different professors, etc., and they always were really not interested in that practice. So yeah, definitely it changed in that sense.
In our case, it happens. I see you. It happens, and that's something that we wanted to discuss as well with our piece. It's like how sound relates to identity, and not in the sense I go back. I'm sorry that I'm insisting on this, but I go back to the category of Latinity. And as Luis mentioned, it's just like it's not something that is an absolute, right? It's something like how you perform it, and the place or the time or the space or experience also kind of like creates your identity. In fact, one of our questions was like, do you think that sounds creates identities? So the question, or bounce the question back to you. So it's like, do you think that movements create new identities? And if so, like, it's kind of like a mirror effect, how you, basically your identity is shaping according to each space for us. We wanted to display that with sound. I'm sorry, am I replying? Okay. Thanks. I'm making it more complicated.
Can I ask one more question to the software that you use? I don't know if it's Super Collider or Sony, I don't know which one it is, but can you talk about it? Because it's it is a free software, and there's lots of tutorials that you can go through, and it's really, for people who are interested, it's very accessible somehow. But it requires a lot of work, right? But it's in there.
So this software is actually not any of the softwares that you mentioned. Okay. I did this software for my PhD, like I called it the software. So it has commands in Spanish. So that was the idea. It's because most of the programming languages is they have commands in English, and so I just wanted to see what could take to do something in Spanish. So if you go to Wikipedia, then now you can look for non-English programming languages, non-English based, and they have some. So I learned that in the middle of my PhD, but these are not necessarily for music, are for other things. And people who, I think someone was from Chile or anyways, or Paraguay. So they have, if you go to that Wikipedia page, they even have a programming language that is based on Spanish from the Rio Platense. So it has different, commands specifically to that accent or that type of Spanish. Anyway, so lots of things there. So this language, again, is mine. It has commands in Mexican, quote-unquote, Spanish from Mexico City. And so that can also be contested. It's like, that's not Spanish, you could say. And we can add your commands. Also, during the workshops that I was giving, or the talking circles during my PhD, we also started wondering how could we make this space of the language more inclusive in terms of gender-wise. And so people started saying that, for instance, there is a command called tumbao. So a tumbao is a rhythm and melody from the bass. So they were saying, how about if we say tumba X? And so instead of tumbao, you could have tumba X. And that, because people are looking at the code, it creates other dynamics, etc. And so the language was made on top of another language called Haskell from the 1970s. And you can access this language. The website is 6 octavos. I can write that down for you. It's available for anyone. It has a small tutorial. I have to work more on the tutorials and the manual, but it's open for everyone to use.
Great, thank you.
Pero es tuyo, you created
I did, yeah, with my supervisor, like together.
6 by 4.
And 6 octavos is 6 and then 8s.org. So anyone can use it.
Nice.
It was a pain. It was horrible. I was crying all the time when I was learning the language because anyways, yeah.
These sonideros, they are beautiful. Everything is a party. So you need to dance because you have to dance. You know what I mean? It is not whether you want or not. It's because you have to. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter where you're from. You know, when you go to a sonidero in Mexico City, you have to dance. That was cool.
That's exactly what you were talking about, of how we experience sound in a very different way, depending on the references we have, the memory, everything. So it's incredible. We went to Mexico, I went to Venezuela.
Exactly. Yeah, even I went to Latin America because
And Bogota.
we've been in Bogota, we've been in Ecuador, we've been in the Amazonia in Yasuni, and we were dancing like with crazy people, you know.
Yeah.
Cumbia.
And what is really amazing for me is today we are closing the Latin American Media Arts Symposium with a sound piece, and it's just Nicole and Pablo, this is so amazing how you guys connected the theme of aluCine with this closing experience, and so much knowledge, so much talent. I'm just overwhelmed by everything. And the participation, like the conversations that have been happening. We are so talented. We are so amazing group of people, and that's why it's important to create these events and give voice to Latinx and Latin Canadians and people from all over that are extremely talented, prepared, studied, and creative, and they just don't get enough, I would say, spaces to show and their work and collaborate and do everything they need. And also the connection between what the migrant sound, elephant woman, like there is something incredible that is happening that I'm just kind of digesting right now, that almost all the panels and the artwork that we've been showing is connected somehow. So it's been an incredible journey. Thank you so much for your presentation, to the audience for being here. And Nicole, that sounded very conclusive.
Yeah. Thank you all for this. Thank you for your comments and thank you for sharing your projects with us. I feel like this was a conversation where we were able to navigate how the effects of sound, both in its poetics and in its like technicalities, because that was also a big part of the conversation, are so powerful to evoke different types of reactions in everyone. And I guess that's one of the reasons why these projects have like spoken towards this idea of migration and identity. Yeah, so thank you so much for sharing it. Thank you everyone for participating.